Corporate values. Now, most of you have heard of these before. You know, those buzzwords you see on company websites like respect, innovation, integrity, and teamwork. Now, if they don't ring a bell, then that's probably because your company hasn't defined them, they haven't communicated them to you properly, or simply put, they don't live by them, so you're not familiar with them. But in any case, corporate values are extremely important because they help define the identity of the organization, and they dictate not only how employees should be treated, but how customers should be treated as well. Now, corporate values can be defined by seeking input from employees through surveys and whatnot, or by the founding member or members by drawing inspiration from the beliefs and behaviors that they want to see their company associated with in the immediate and long term. Now, if defined properly and implemented with sincerity, corporate values can reap a lot of dividends. They can help shape and promote the corporate culture, such as what we've seen with Zappos, Hewlett-Packard, and Virgin, to name a few. So corporate values are advantageous for a company to have. But don't get me wrong, corporate values are a double-edged sword. As Collins and Porras explained in their 1994 book, Built to Last, corporate values are both inherent and sacrosanct. In other words, they cannot be compromised, whatever the cost, regardless of convenience or economic benefit. Otherwise, you risk damaging your reputation, looking like a hypocrite in front of employees and customers, and tarnishing your corporate culture. Now, the good news is that it's relatively easy for a company to live by its values when conditions are good, when it's all rosy and dandy outside. The challenge is living by its values when the going gets tough. Now, most of us don't steal. We've all got jobs, we can put food on the table, so we can assume that not stealing is a value for most of us. But if you really want to test whether not stealing is a value for people, you have to observe their behavior in tribulations. And the same goes for companies. If you really want to test whether a company lives by its values or not, you have to observe their behaviors when conditions are not easy, when they're not meeting deadlines, when the economy is not doing too well. Now, these are interesting times. COVID-19 is one of those scenarios that has made it extremely difficult for companies to operate globally. So if you really want to test whether a company is true to its values or not, this is the time. This is the time to see whether companies truly respect their employees and whether customer service is at the heart of their business as they claim. Now is the time to pick out the rotten apples from the good ones. So if you're a company out there, check yourself before you wreck yourself.